it's very easy to be scared to be outspoken in this industry because it's cutthroat.
Hi babes, Lady Silverstone here, and welcome to my podcast, where we're trying to demystify cannabis, one conversation at a time. In this episode, we're talking about malpractice amongst cannabis brands, the shady MLM companies, and the importance of screening brands with our guest today. She's the founder of the group and the CEO of a company called the Hemp Force. Let's welcome Jackie. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. They just started to open up a bit.
Where do you live?
So I live in Spain, and the weather now is just so nice.
That's amazing. It's cloudy here. It's usually beautiful, but...
But how is it? Because I saw on the map. I mean, so I have never visited the US. Yeah. I've been transiting once, but that's it.
Yeah. So I live in North Carolina right now. So it's beautiful, sunny, like 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, shit. Do you know how much that is in Celsius?
I should. You know what? I'm a science major, so I should.
Oh my God. Wait, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I really need to check this out. 80? Okay, 26 degrees. That's really nice.
Yes.
It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit here as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know that you had a science degree.
So I'm finishing it up. Yep.
Okay.
I will be done in December. I have an extra semester because I took it pretty slow with the business and everything.
That's really nice that you had the opportunity to make it. So what did you do? Did you go down like half time, or did you like take like a whole 6 months off and then did like your business, or how did you do it?
Mm-hmm. So I took part-time. So I was a part-time student, and then for a while, not always. And I would take summer classes. So we're actually coming up on, I just scheduled last night all of the stuff I have to do. I'm going to be busy working on stuff from like 9 a.m. to like 8 p.m.
Oh, wow.
It's okay though. It's good.
Who is Jackie then? Tell us.
So, oh my gosh, that's a great question. I am a super passionate, fun, annoyingly happy person. I love nature. I love people. I love helping people, talking with people, connecting on a deep level. Like, I'm just having a lot of fun in life. And I think that's what defines me, is not taking things too seriously, but really taking the time to appreciate the little things and find joy in any situation.
And that, I think, like doing that is in any case like the key to like be okay with failure of any part. I mean, failure whether it comes to like your health, your business, your studies, like anything you can then take on with the more, I don't know what you would say, like with the more like, I don't know how to explain. Do you see what I mean? Like you can take on anything if you just feel that like I'm fine with anything that will come my way, whether it's good or bad or annoying or super exciting, like not getting too like impressed by the situation. I think then you can do...
It's grounding.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like, what was your initial relationship to cannabis? Did you use it before you started your company as well?
Yes. So my initial relationship with cannabis is very different than what it is now. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, which is very... the town itself was pretty closed-minded. It was your typical American small town values, and it was a drug in the town. You know, like the mentality was it was a drug, and only the people who were really struggling or the people that you shouldn't be around used cannabis. So that was the mentality that I grew up with. It was never approached as medicine or something that had healing properties. It was it was looked at like, I don't know, cocaine or something.
Yeah.
Something very harmful. And
same from where I'm from.
Yeah. So my initial relationship was, it was fear. It was judgment. It was not good. And then I got to college. I got out of that town.
And then I got to college.
Finally. Yeah, then I got to college. And I wasn't introduced in the way that you would think. I found CBD, and it all started with hemp and CBD. And then from there, it evolved into, okay, well, this works really well for me. Let's look at, and we're going into like the scientific mind, because that's, I'm studying science. I've always been really interested in how things work and why they work. So I was like, all right, well, let's research marijuana, like medical marijuana. There's got to be some amazing things that it can do.
And this is like 5 years ago.
So this was, I'd say probably like 4 years ago. Yeah. And I was amazed at these studies, and we're just scratching the surface, because it's just now becoming acceptable to study marijuana. So I was absolutely amazed at what cannabis as a whole, hemp or marijuana, can do. And that, I'm just so amazed. I have this beautiful relationship with it, where I understand that we've co-evolved with this plant, and it's kind of like it's got its own spirit, So that's my relationship with it now.
It's really, and how is like the people around you in like your closest circle, and also like your family?
Yeah, so the people in my circle now are very accepting, very pro-cannabis, hemp or marijuana. I mean, medical marijuana has not made its way to this state yet, but it's surrounding. Yeah, so it's actually funny, because it is in Pennsylvania, where I grew up now.
Oh, wow. and there's not where you are.
I know there's medical dispensaries now in the town that I grew up in, and it's just crazy to me. Yeah, but it just is. It's not thought about, not judged in any terrible way anymore in my circle, or that I observe. It just is. It's just a thing of life. And my family, their understanding of it has grown a lot with mine. So I think education is huge in helping people understand and accept cannabis for what it is, because you can tell all the stories you want, but if you pull up a peer-reviewed article, or a peer-reviewed article in a journal, and it says these are, this is the property that was studied, and this is the outcome, that holds a lot more weight, and it's more objective. So coming at it from kind of an objective, this is what it is, and this is how it can help people. That's helped a lot in having my family become comfortable with it. And now they're just like, it is what it is.
Yeah, like they don't think about
cannabis,
it. Maybe.
Yeah.
That must be really nice, though, to both to live in a country, because, okay, so even though you don't have dispensaries and it's not legal yet in North Carolina, is it still like, are they still open-minded towards cannabis?
So I live in a really interesting place where it's very progressive in Wilmington, where I live in North Carolina. Most of North Carolina is very conservative in their values. And so it's hard, because some people who are conservative are very much for marijuana legalization. A large majority of them are, but then there are some who are very outspoken, who take up more space kind of in the scene of politics, maybe, who are still in that 1950s mindset of, reefer madness, and think it's scary. So I think we're going to get there. I think nationally in America, in the United States, we're going to see legalization in the next 5 to 10 years.
And then you're talking about like on a federal level, or?
Yeah.
Because now, how many states is it legal in?
Oh, I should know this answer.
Is it half or not?
It's over half in some capacity. Yeah, maybe not recreational, but medical.
And recreational?
Recreational? Oh, man. You put me on the spot here. I want to say there's...
I don't know either.
I'm going to have to look it up. I want to say there's like 8 states that in some capacity.
Is it 11 states?
11, okay. Yeah, I see that.
Well, that's great.
Okay.
11 is a good... It's 20%, no?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah, that's good. If you meet, let's say, a woman in her 50s or a man in his 50s, or older, that comes to you with all these classic judgments and stigmas and stereotypes, right, about cannabis, and is saying that, oh no, man, what are you doing? You're glamorizing cannabis, or you're, those kind of not arguments, but opinions. What do you tell them? Because I mean, you're not there to convince them of everything. Right. You're there more to just educate them and maybe make them see something else. But what do you say? So for me, the first thing that I have to remember is not to judge, because that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want judgment from people who may not understand. So, we shouldn't judge them back. So just approaching it with a sense of empathy and understanding, because I can relate to somebody who, may think it's totally crazy. Oh, same. Because I thought that way before.
Yeah. Yeah. And just talking about maybe how it's helped me personally, or how it has helped loved ones, or back to the education of there are studies being done that show that it can do X, Y, and Z, and I think that's amazing. It's not, it's something like that I would do.
That is good, because in any case, you cannot change someone's mind. Obviously, you cannot not just change someone's opinion. They will need to go through it in their head and in their mind themselves, probably many times before you just change your mind, right? But it's good, like you say. I mean, not judging, because that will only make them feel that there is an attack from our side, right? Which we don't want. I mean, we have been suffering from this attack for years already, so we don't want to put someone else in the spot there. How has it helped you? Because I read on your website that you had some autoimmune diseases, and then that's how CBD helped you a lot. And
yeah, that's how I got into the business of hemp and CBD, because it helped me so much. I have chronic fatigue syndrome, which it's an autoimmune disease, and not much is known about it. So there's not much that can be done about it, in Western medicine. So at the point I was at, you're looking for anything that can help you, and I had exhausted pretty much everything at that point.
When was this? How long ago? Were you already adult, or?
Yeah, so this was after I got to college, like we talked about. I was so sick that I really wasn't supposed to go to college. I really shouldn't have gone. I should have taken more time. I was very sick. Yeah. I mean, there was a point in high school where I was homebound for months. I had to go to, they gave me a robot to go to school with. It was really interesting.
What do you mean a robot?
Robot. They, the school district got this new grant or something where they got this, it was an iPad on wheels, essentially. It was an iPad on a pole with wheels. It looked like an IV pole in a sense, with an iPad on it.
And it was your face there.
Yeah, and my face was on the iPad.
Oh, wow.
And you could, so that was at the school, but they gave me a laptop to control it with, so I could drive it around my face.
Dude, I can just see this in front of me. So funny.
It was an interesting time, but
yeah. That's like a Corona style, but way ahead.
Yeah, it was way ahead. It was cooler. It was cooler than Zoom.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, so I found CBD, and it gave me a piece of my life back. It helped me with with my energy levels, with overall inflammation, with pain. It didn't cure me, because I think that's a misconception, is that people think that, you take cannabis and you take it once and you're going to feel great for days. It's, but it addressed a lot of the roots of the issues that I was experiencing. And that's how my love for cannabis started.
That must have been really, you were already very interested in science in general. And then to see, because like you said, you have been, basically put in bed for months and just felt super bad. And then this oil comes that you can also like find in like skincare brands and stuff. And you're like, what is this, And this is something that really brings, like you said, your life back in at least some pieces of your life back that you had lost for many months. And that is, it's priceless. It really is priceless for someone like you, and for so many of us that is using CBD and cannabis on a regular basis. So how long did it take for you to like get back on track, feel better, being able to go back to school and stuff?
I was diagnosed with this autoimmune disease when I was 13 or 14. And so I knew how to pull myself out or take care of myself enough to be able to start healing from the flare or whatever it was, and function in society again. So, there's peaks and valleys. It's been a journey. But when I started taking CBD, I realized the difference it made pretty quickly. I'd say within the first month of using it, but then, the benefits just compound themselves. They become more and more noticeable. So I've even had people tell me that they notice improvements after a year of taking CBD, which is interesting. But luckily, my improvements happened sooner.
And did you feel that it was something that you could, so you still kept taking CBD every day and you kept kept your lifestyle going? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That is very nice. And to hear these, because so many people have these, like their own stories and journeys of how they started and how they, feel it changed their lives. I mean, for me and my like management of like my period cramps and like my endometriosis, you cannot compare it with anything. I cannot compare it with anything. So yeah, it's very powerful. But like you say, it's not something, it's not a miracle cure, obviously.
Right.
And that's what it's, because that's why, like, so when I started Lady Silverstone, in the beginning, it was really to like break the stereotype, I would say. And then I quickly realized like how much misinformation is put out there, because something can be studied, like let's say they're studying about they're doing studies about the effect on cancer, for example, but they haven't concluded anything. They haven't concluded that this is going to help this, and there you go. Do you see what I mean? Like here you go through chemotherapy, then you're going to do this, and that, and then we hope that your cancer is gone. Like you don't have this, yet you have so many stories about people that has been diagnosed with like terminal cancer, and they say that you have 3 months to live, and now this person is here 10 years after and the cancer is gone, because they said that they just started to use cannabis. So there are a lot of anecdotal of course we cannot call them proof. They're not proof. It's anecdotal. What would you call it?
Evidence. Yeah, anecdotal evidence.
Yeah. So many people could take, it's like faith healing, right? Like, I've read so many people that has like, their priests say basically that like, don't worry, don't put your kid through chemotherapy, it's too harsh on her, I'm gonna help her. And this child is gone after a few months because she never got like proper treatment. And I think that is something that is really scary in this business, because there's so many people writing that just do this, do that, stop this medicine, stop this treatment, take cannabis instead. And I think that is so dangerous.
It's
so dangerous for those individuals like themselves, but also for the industry if we want to be taken seriously. What do you feel? How is that in the States for the moment? Do you feel that there's anything regulated?
So it's really interesting that you say that, because I think there are some really incredible people in the industry right now in the United States. I think that there are some people who are in it for really good reasons, but there are also a lot of really shady, questionable companies and people in the industry. And so it's either great or the industry is toxic. It's very interesting. And actually that is kind of what prompted me to start my own business. Is I was in with the really toxic companies. Yeah. Making false, not necessarily false claims from a legal standpoint, but not being truthful with customers, not being truthful to employees about their products. I just couldn't continue. I couldn't do it. So I'm trying to think about how to word it, but yeah, we do have to be very careful, because this is a science, but it's also, nature's medicine, but it needs to be respected. There's so many facets to this. And we have the FDA that approved Epidiolex, which is just CBD. It's CBD tincture. So the government's kind of getting in on this. But it's also still, Schedule 1 drug. It's really confusing for a lot of people. And I think I don't blame people for not taking the time to understand it, because I would not understand it if I didn't work in the industry. And, not everybody can work in the industry. So, I'm sorry, I kind of went all over the place on there, but that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like in the industry, because there's so many different directions and angles, and it's very confusing for a lot of people.
Sorry for interrupting. I hope you enjoy listening so far. Please check out my account Lady Silverstone at patreon.com so I can continue creating cannabis content for you. And how do you think then, for someone that is starting to learn about cannabis in general, whether it's CBD or THC or a mix of them and their benefits, so how do you think we could, how do we get the proper information? Does everyone need to learn how to read scientific papers?
So I think it's unrealistic to expect everyone to want to do that. I enjoy it because that's what I study. That's, kind of my job.
Yeah.
But it's a really hard question. You have to, it's like they teach us in school, to look for reliable sources versus unreliable sources. Dr. Ethan Russo, are you familiar with him? Yeah, so he's kind of a leading researcher in cannabis. Just starting with, I don't want to say doctors, but starting with people who are, or sources that are educated, doing firsthand research themselves, like actual research. Look for, so hard. I'm trying to think of, because I would love to be look for people like me who, are in it for the right reasons, but a lot of people are in it for the right reasons, but they're not properly educated.
That's the thing, yeah.
I'm stuck on that. There's some really great books. There's some really great books out there. Just make sure that it is either reviewed by or written by somebody who has the credentials needed to really understand that stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would say. I'm sorry that was so confusing.
No. Because it is a hard question.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we cannot expect everyone to read a scientific paper for every little claim that comes out. Like you say, it's unrealistic, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I've even seen headlines in the news that are just really, I read these articles in the news and they're just really questionable. These journalists are not, like, we cannot expect journalists to be educated in cannabis science. So it's not, I'm not placing judgment on anyone who writes this stuff, because I'm sure if I was to write something completely out of my field of study, I wouldn't know what I was saying. And to not immediately believe, just like healthy level of skepticism, healthy level of, let's not absorb all of this information as truth until we find the sources to back it up. And it's reasonable to want to be justified in your beliefs and the things that you're doing. Like in life, we look for things that back us up in our actions. I look for all of the positive reasons to drink coffee instead of all of the negative reasons. I'm like, all right, give me all the health benefits of coffee. But, you got to be objective with science.
It must be very exciting to like know this, because I am not at all like in the science industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, that was like I thought it was very fascinating in school, like biology, physics, and these kind of. But I was really bad at it. I thought that was more like, it's as if my head was saying that this is too complex to understand. So that made me like, it's so fascinating, it must be super complex. And then it made me basically like lose interest to really understand like do you see what I mean? Like the basis
I see
of
exactly
it.
what you mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now when I'm older and when I'm 30 now, and this is something that has, for let's say the last 5 years, really, really interested me. And it's not it is still complicated. It's complex, but it's okay if I don't understand it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So when the pressure is gone, the pressure of testing and the pressure of having to learn it, and the passion is there, that's what makes the difference.
Exactly. And I think that cannabis was probably my way in, because I really wanted to understand both how it works like physically, but also how it works psychologically. And my little sister she is an addict. She has an addiction disease, Mm-hmm. So it was really important for me to understand how that works, like addiction in both its physical form, but also like psychological form. And all of this mixed with like the actual chemistry of cannabis, with all its like molecules and cannabinoids, and everything that is inside cannabis. It's so fascinating and so excited to like learn about,
Mm-hmm. It just amazes me.
It really does, yeah. So are you thinking about, because now you're still studying, can you make like are you going to have, what do you say, like a niche? Are you going to be able to study like only in cannabis, or are you already doing that, or are you studying like science in general and then later want to focus more on something?
So right now I'm finishing my bachelor's degree in environmental science. Yeah, so it kind of encompasses a little bit of agriculture, things like that. It could really apply to growing cannabis also.
Nice.
But, there's no academic path right now that I could take towards cannabis science. There may be a couple small programs in certain colleges that are like a bachelor's degree in chemistry of cannabis, but they haven't been around very long.
Okay.
The programs, I'm right now I'm appreciating the more broad approach to science. It allows me to holistically look at the environment. And after I graduate, I'm just gonna go full force with my business, continue with that. And maybe I'll have to work in the field of environmental science for a little bit. Maybe it won't be full-time income yet. I'm hoping it will be because it's my passion. But, so is nature. Everything nature is just so beautiful to me.
Can't you mix something? Can't you do something, let's say you still continue your brand, obviously, but you will maybe do something else that like some kind of either like a proper like side project or something that is still connected to your brand?
Yeah, I certainly could. It would be really fun.
When did you decide to actually start a CBD brand? And was it hard? How is it to start a CBD brand like from scratch?
Yeah, so I don't make any of the products that I carry because I don't, I would love to, but I don't have the resources to do that well. I don't have the resources to do that to the highest capacity it could be done. The reason that I started my own business in this niche, in this industry, was because of course I had this passion. I knew that this is the direction I wanted to take my life. Like that's not even a question. But where I am, there's a lot of very toxic cannabis companies. Of course it's hemp, but I was working for one of them, and this is the one I had been with the longest. It was the first one. And there was so much, I'm trying not to like call out the company or say anything too terrible, but it was toxic. It was very degrading towards women. A lot of there's sexual harassment. From the top down, it was not a good place to be.
We should be so careful of making sure that we're acting correctly, and then we hear these kind of things. It's horrible.
Well, these are the people who are not in it for the right reasons. I stayed for the customers and the clients that I got to work with and talk with and help every day, and I got to educate, and it was just, I loved that part so much that the other bullshit, it was worth staying for the people that I got to help. It got worse and worse and worse. And then I realized that I need to do better for these people and myself and this industry. And me continuing to participate in companies like that just is me endorsing that type of behavior. And I really wanted to see a nurturing, education-centered company or business in the industry, especially locally, that was really there to help people. And a lot of companies will, I don't want to say I'm all high and mighty on my business here, but but a lot of companies say they're here for their customers or the people who use CBD, they're not doing it because their lives are going great. They're not doing it because they're healthy. These people are so special to me because I'm one of them. And I really think that they need just extra love. We all need some extra nurturing. And I wanted to build a company around that. Of course, I saw different companies in the national, industry who were doing great things like that. But I wanted to create more space for that. I wanted to do it in my own way and to really be able to serve my community and serve my community above profit. Profit is great. I have to make a living. There's no getting around that. But not at the cost of my morals, not at the cost of hurting people, whether it be financially just upcharging for no reason, crazy upcharge for no reason, or not being fully truthful. And I really believed that another kind of pillar of my business is I believed that people needed to be educated, but talk to like their people, not like their children. A lot of times when CBD companies educate, they'll dumb it down. And I thought that was so insulting. As a science major, I was like, people aren't asking questions because they want to be, told the elementary version. They're asking questions because they want to understand how this plant medicine works in their body, and they deserve to know that. And if I'm going to provide them with this, CBD, they deserve to know how it works instead of me just saying, this is going to be great, it'll help you. Like, okay, but how?
That's why I'm here. I know that already. I've read it 100 times on the internet now.
Yeah. So that's my story.
I thought it was really nice because I actually found you thanks to your friend making a YouTube video about you, and because I also downloaded your CBD crash course.
The book, yeah.
Yes, so nice. And like you said, like on the front page directly, it's written reviewed by. I mean, for me, that is something that already there, like that sets the tone for something that you know that is completely different. Do you see what I mean? Like it really sets the tone, and you're like, okay. Like not only did you write it, you also made sure to like send it to someone to actually review it, and already there it shows that like you already knew that like you have done everything you could to make this as like scientific and factful and professional as possible, in order for you to even be able to send it to someone that will like maybe criticize you if you're wrong. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people don't do that, obviously, because I mean, not only does it take time, but I think a lot of people, they don't want to hear if they're wrong. Do you see what I mean? And that is so much. I mean, I was so impressed.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
well. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Thank you.
And also that you bring up the problem with all the like fake brands and like that whole side of the business. So yeah, that was actually, so to come back to the video and how I found you. That's what your friend did. She made a video about basically all the like CBD brand frauds and shady companies, and the MLM companies as well. I mean, that we have here as well, or we have like the Canaway here in Europe. The other one, I'm not sure we have it. The Hemp Works.
Hemp Works, yeah.
Hemp Works, yeah. I think we can order it, but I don't think we can find it here in stores and stuff. Or I haven't seen it, at least.
Which is good.
But definitely. But I mean, it's still so. Already we have it in almost all the different businesses. I mean, we have it in essential oils. We have it in a lot of makeup companies as well, skincare companies. They also do like their like MLM. Do you say like strategy, or having an MLM strategy, multi-market? Yeah, probably.
Business structure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people understand what that is, actually, and why it's not very good, actually, because you will only hear, because when you understand the structure of it, that people get into it, spend a lot of money to buy products from this company that they're now ambassadors for.
Yeah.
That's how they feel, and that feels super exciting, like, wow, I'm an ambassador, you know. And you feel that you're part of this movement, of course, which is nice, because of course you want to. I mean, the people that join, they really, really want to do good. They really want, like, their intentions are good 99.9% of the time, but they don't realize like what they're in.
Yeah, the people who are just joining have no concept of, I'm not saying they're not intelligent people, but when the people, you know, when you're not looking at the bigger picture, when you're somebody who's just joining this type of company because they're friends in this company, they don't see the bigger picture. And the people at the top, I believe, may not have as good intentions as the people just joining. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like joining a cult. You don't realize in the beginning that you're joining a cult. You're thinking that you're joining a movement with good intentions, with good... do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're stuck and you cannot see it, because you will only see the stuff that confirms your beliefs that this is a good thing I'm doing. So yeah, I definitely see the people that are joining like MLM companies as victims in a way, because they're not informed what they joined, you know. And I got like, when I started my my page, I got Canaway contacted me, and they said, oh yeah, if you want to be an ambassador, blah blah, look through here. And I'm like, oh shit, that's expensive. I need to buy like, I don't know, like 700 euros worth of products, even way more than that. in order to be able to like start my own business in this. I'm like, I don't even have that money. Like I cannot even, do this. And then I realized like what it actually was, because I was looking at videos about MLM companies that does essential oils, for example, the doTERRA, for example.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh shit, and I understood like the depth of this thing.
Yeah.
And it's it's hardcore. And the thing is that you just have to Google a little bit instead of Googling Canaway CBD oil. Google like Canaway. I don't know, Canaway review business, whatever, something to like see what people are saying about them as a business, not about their products, because reviews about their products will already be like overflown from the people that are working with it that needs to over promote it, so you don't see a lot of like what is actually going on inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how did you like? Have you ever been for like working with a company like that, or did you just see it from the outside and realize how bad it is?
So I have always been, or for the last, I would say probably the last couple years, I've been very interested in this anti-MLM movement because it's becoming a movement. The more I learned, the more I was fascinated by it. The more I wanted to learn about it, because it's inherently. It's predatory, and it's predatory towards women. And a lot of the rhetoric is women supporting women or girl boss or things like that, which is great if you weren't preying on, stay-at-home moms or unemployed women or underprivileged women. The women who are the most vulnerable are the ones who are preyed on because they, quote unquote, need it the most. They need the money, and from there, I just continued on with life. I was in the cannabis industry, and I'd say about a year ago, I began to learn more about some CBD MLMs that were local. They were kind of oversaturating the local market. And, since I'm in the industry, you hear some of the behind the scenes, like their facility is blah, 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 or, some behind the scenes stuff. I was just like, this is so messed up. Their product, say their 500 milligram tincture is going for $80. And I carry one that I think is like one of the best that I take. And it's $29 for 500 milligrams, like this is so messed up that people are getting really shitty quality CBD. They're supporting a inherently like predatory business structure, not predatory people. Maybe like the upline might be predatory. But they just don't know it, and you can't blame people for not knowing, but you can help educate. That became kind of a passion of mine, is like, and I'm going to call this one out because like I'm not afraid to call companies out who are because it is an MLM. There's one called Green Compass. That's Green Compass. That's an MLM that is everywhere locally. And it just blows my mind that you wouldn't buy, and not even for me, like you wouldn't buy, if you want to support local and like truly, truly local to, let's say, Wilmington, North Carolina, there are some brands. There's one that I know of they grow hemp in Wilmington, process it in Wilmington, and then the product is just entirely made locally. They're farmers, like support them. I'm not afraid to tell people that there are other companies to support, because I don't see other companies who are in it for the right reasons. I don't see them as my competition. I see them as my friends. I want them to be in this industry. I want to be in this industry with them.
Yeah. They're your allies in the end as well.
Right. And I want them to succeed so badly. Like I want them to succeed. Like I want my business to succeed. But yeah, like back to the MLMs. I'm sorry. I just got really passionate about that. Yeah, they are kind of in the background spreading really questionable information. I feel like MLMs, like they all get their they get their information from their upline, which is the people who sponsored them. I'm just saying that for, people who may not know.
Dear listeners, if you like what you hear, please check out my Patreon. The link is in the description here below. Only if you're able to, of course. Now, let's get back to our guest.
Yeah, so the upline is the person who would, quote unquote, sponsor a new person coming in. It's the people that they kind of report to, that they work for, even though they work for themselves, but they work for a company. The structure is very contradictory and predatory, but it's all coming from, it's kind of like playing telephone, right? So you have information from, let's say, the company's CEOs or the corporate part of the company being funneled down to the top distributors, the top of the pyramid, and it all gets funneled down to the bottom. And by the time it's at the bottom, it's either completely like wrong, it's false, or it's a watered down version of the truth, or, some cases it might be like a little bit correct, but it's just really weird. It's a weird structure. And a lot of the misinformation out there, I blame on MLMs. And it's interesting because a lot of, it's interesting to observe through like my account, my profile. A lot of the distributors or the affiliates or whatever they want to call themselves will share my information, like my posts. They'll reshare my stuff, which is great, and I'm happy, but I'm just like, I'm so torn because it's like, am I supporting MLMs by allowing them to share my information, or like or am I like,
I see what you mean.
them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I just let it play out, but it's really interesting. It's such a strange world. It's a strange cult.
It's a strange cult. Exactly. Yes.
Allegedly, all of the not legally binding words. I'm not saying it's a cult. Don't come for me, but like the structure is very questionable.
Yeah, I mean, it is because I think what makes up a cult is like some kind of like ideology and like an authority, and that's exactly what MLMs are in the
top
end,
of the pyramid.
Yeah. So it's like it's the structure like made but just copied into like a business machine basically, which is it's super sad, and it does a lot of bad for the industry because so these people will have to find clients. So the people that are working for this company, let's say the so-called ambassadors, you will have to find for you to make money. You have to either make sure that like some of your friends becomes distributors, or you have to make sure that they're buying products from you as well. And so their whole thing is they need to find people to buy. So they need to do their own marketing. So all of a sudden you have thousands of people making different kinds of marketing claims that might go It's really nice that some of the people are sharing your stuff and your information because
it's accurate.
Exactly. And you really spent like your core to really make sure that it's accurate, while a lot of people, they don't give a crap if it's correct or not. They don't care. And that is what might be very, very bad for the cannabis industry, especially in these times where people, countries are looking at like, okay, should we legalize? Should we decriminalize? Should we put this as take it away from Schedule 1 drug? Should we, this is not the good time for MLM companies to be in this space and also trying to be not to live. I mean, I don't know. I never heard a person saying that, oh my God, I found this really good CBD oil. It's from Canaway. I never heard anyone say that. I never heard anyone refer to either Canaway or Hemp Force when they talk about their favorite CBD oils. Never heard it.
So yeah, I actually have a really interesting little story about CBD MLMs. I was working on this video with Madison, the one you were just talking about. I actually reached out. At the time, I didn't know Madison. I just reached out I saw her other, MLM videos, and I was like, hey, I would love to help you do a CBD video, like a CBD MLM video. And then it was great. It was so much fun. But when I was working on that, it was really funny because I got a message from one of my friends, and all my friends know what I do, obviously. And she was like, my mom's doctor just told her to get this, the CBD product from, and then, I'm not going to say this MLM company. And she's like, what do you think of it? And I'm like, there are doctors trying to sell CBD from an MLM to their patients.
That is nasty.
Like, it's so illegal, first of all.
Yeah.
But like, that's where this has gone. Like,
wow.
I was like, oh my God. I was like,
do you think that like the MLM company worked like with that clinic or hospital, or do you think that this doctor was like privately
I think that
part of that?
I think that's what happened. It blew my mind that it had gotten that bad. And, I'll never tell somebody to not trust their doctor, to not go with their doctor. She was like, what do you think? And I was like, well, this is the information I can give you on that. I'm not going to tell you not to trust your doctor, your family to trust the doctor, but here's the information.
It's really crazy when you say this. I mean, already here in Europe, you cannot just go waltz into a doctor and say that you want medical cannabis, like at all. But so for us, even thinking that a doctor, it's so far, it's really wild. Like for me, it feels super wild that a doctor is actually working for an MLM company.
That's what I assume.
That's what I assume as well from this story.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know that, like, what exactly happened. No, maybe he has no idea about that it is an MLM company. We don't know, but let's say he does. Yeah. He's a doctor. He should make research about, a medicine that he gives out. No. Yeah. So I assume that he knows. Like, as he's a doctor, I assume that he knows. You see what I mean? Like, it's his job to know this. But of course, it can be hard to make all the reasons. That's why it's so, like your friend did. They really make it looks super super pro. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you go in on Hempworks website, you're like, wow, this is legit, That's what you think when you go in on that website. Same thing probably with Cannaworks. Now I haven't been, or Cannaways, I haven't been in on their website for a while, but I think it also it looks pretty good because they probably have the money to make a really good website, to make it looks like they're having, just a lot of products, a lot of information, a lot of different things that makes people impressed once again, Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's a whole world that is but it's really interesting as well. It's really interesting to see, and when you get to like the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to be scared to be outspoken in this industry because it's cutthroat. It is very aggressive and competitive. And if you speak out about, at one place I worked, they made me sign a non-compete that it would never hold up because it was so absurd. It was like within a certain number of years, you couldn't work in within a certain number of years of leaving the company, you couldn't work in the cannabis industry in any capacity anywhere in the country.
What?
And I was just like, even with doctors, like doctors have non-compete, or they sign with whatever hospital or health, practice that they won't work in a certain radius for maybe like 2 years or something, but that's a radius, and that's less amount of time. It's crazy out there. So, you know, they're so ready to come after you if you speak out. They're so like, so it's scary. So like, all I want is for people to have access to good products and good information, and to not be taken advantage of. And it's scary to even like hold your ground on that sometimes publicly.
Have you had anyone, because you are pretty open in your CBD crash course, you're very, I don't know if you're mentioning any companies though, are you?
No, I don't.
No, but you're very outspoken about what your opinion is on this.
Right. And the companies don't necessarily, like, I could give you a list of companies and that might be really helpful, but in 6 months there might be 20 more new companies that, so just looking out for those red flags and being aware of truth versus, you know, being scammed. It's, yeah. And I think that's more, I think education and taking those tools that you can use, you know, for the rest of your life when looking at products.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a list of companies or just calling out companies. I think that was more important for me to include than any company names.
So like if you want to look for different cannabis brands and you're entering their website, maybe you go in and look on their Instagram and so on. What do you think, like what are the red flags?
Yeah, so red flags would be, you know, you want to look at the ingredient list. First of all, know what you want in your product and what you don't want in your product. Say you're getting something that you're going to inhale. Say you're getting like a vapor, like a cartridge or something. Do research on the ingredients in CBD or THC cartridges and understand those and know what you want and what you don't want. That's the first thing. Also looking for ingredients that are going to indicate CBD or, you know, actual cannabinoids as opposed to just hemp seed oil. So looking for terms like CBD or, you know, specific cannabinoids, or words like phytocannabinoid rich hemp oil or hemp extract, or just things like that that actually indicate the presence of what you're actually looking for, which is going to be cannabinoids. Because as I talked about in the book, there's a lot of just hemp seed oil out there. You know, there's a lot of sexy marketing with nothing to back it up, because they'll throw, I mean, they're saying that something contains cannabis sativa extract. It's not inherently false to say that and slap it on a jar of hemp seed oil, just straight up hemp seed oil, because it is from a cannabis sativa plant, you know? So understanding the terminology is very important. And then also lab reports, access to third-party lab reports. That's a huge thing. Any legitimate company will be able to provide those to you when asked. Typically, they'll be present on the website, but sometimes you do have to ask. And it should be no problem at all to get those to you. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, do some research on the company itself. If you're in the United States, things like the Better Business Bureau, or just literally looking up reviews, things like that. Something that I really like to do when I figure out what brands I'm going to carry also is I like to talk on the phone with people and I like to ask, you know, like, how long have you been working for this company? Like, why did you choose to work for this company? And like, what, you know, what about it do you enjoy? What, you know, things like that. So it does take a little bit of digging. You can't take everything for face value. But those are the big red flags, the big things to look for when purchasing a product, a CBD or cannabis product.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think we need to put that as like a routine. I mean, when we buy anything, actually, but specifically cannabis products in this day and age. I mean, it's key at the moment. Okay, so how can people get your CBD crash course?
Yes. Okay. So We just passed the hour actually that it is available for free. So I will actually be selling it for a very low price on my website at thehempforce.com. It can be found there. You can find me on Instagram at the Hemp Force and inquire about it there if you'd like, or just start a conversation. But yeah, that's where you can find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put your Instagram and the website in the description,
awesome.
Obviously.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was really nice to talk to you, and I hope we can talk again, because I think it's really nice to talk to someone that has the same kind of critical view on the industry. Not that, I mean, we are super excited about this industry, but it's very important to have this like critical eye on certain things, certain practices, and so on. In any case, we love cannabis. We love what it has done and helped us with. So we're already there for it. But that's what we want it to be in good eyes, whether it's, I mean, factual eyes, whether it's positive or negative, whatever that means to people, you know. So yeah, we should definitely talk again.
We should.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Yes, thank you. Bye, babe.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my social channels and rate this podcast. And if you would like to support me a little bit extra, it would really mean the world to me. So check out my Patreon profile that I linked in the episode description. It's all thanks to your support that I can continue talking, writing, recording, and making more cannabis content for you and our amazing community. Have an awesome day and lots of love.